All right. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And once again, thank you so much for joining in this webinar, which is hosted by Knowlarity and AWS. We have a very interesting topic on hand for you, which is relevant actually to all our businesses today, which is capturing the customer voice to understand the customer experience and how to ensure that we are offering the best seamless experience possible to all our customers on board. That's my version of the topic, but the exact topic for all of you is capturing the voice of customer experience to ensure seamless customer experiences. Given that customer experience has become such a top priority for all our businesses today, and we ensure that all our processes and offerings are actually modified and we keep evolving them basis what our customers require, it's very important to understand and kind of deal and ensure we are meeting all customer expectations. Hence, we are here today to discuss how capturing the voice of the customer is we can capture it through the right platforms, the right tools available, because with all the technological advancements, there's so many out there. And how how will this have a direct impact on all our operations and offering ensuring a seamless experience and obviously increasing ROI. We have two great speakers, both from Knowlarity and AWS on board. We have Sumit, who is a CMO at Knowlarity and has many years of experience in dealing with various aspects of the business, as well as Dave with another close to 20 years of experience, who's now the head of startup segment for AWS. Sumit, if I can request you to introduce yourself, followed by Dave.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Nidhi, for the brief introduction. I really thank you guys for taking time out today and being a part of this discussion. Hope that this adds little value to what the knowledge is. As far as I go, I have over 20 years experience in the area of sales and marketing predominantly. I worked with organizations like Airtel, Vodafone, Oracle, Tata Teleservices, and now with Knowlarity. It's been a great journey of my personal learning. And over to you, Dave.
Hi, everybody. Hope you can hear me clearly. Hi, my name is Dave, part of the exciting segment which we call startups here at AWS, where we help companies to scale and grow with the help of our platform. My background, worked across different startups, both in product operations and sales and marketing leadership roles. So looking forward to our discussion today.
Great, guys. Before I start off, everyone, just run a quick audio poll check in case someone cannot hear us loud and clear. Can you just kind of let us know? We'll just double check if all of you can hear us and you've heard Dave, Sumit, and me all clearly. If you can just very quickly respond yes, so I'll know if everyone can hear us. Okay, so I think we've almost got everyone on board who can hear us. So that's a great answer. Great, guys. So I'll take us on to the first question that we have lined up for Sumit and for Dave. If I can just have, so Sumit, hi. Like I mentioned, customer experiences are constantly evolving. So with the world of this world of constantly evolving expectations that we have, why do you think it is important to deliver a seamless customer experience and to understand our customers' expectations?
Sure, Nidhi, thanks for the question. It's really interesting to see that, over the period of time as to how customer expectations have been continuously evolving. And I would say, over the period of time, the customers have been far more discerning. They know exactly what they want. And I think that's the expectation set for the organization. The other thing which is of great importance is that customers today want a far more non-intrusive communication. And one of the recent surveys say that 75% of the customers would prefer a self-help rather than talking to an agent and agent help. So they want to have the journey defined as per their own convenience. And the third is a very interesting concept as to the expectations from a consumer is that organization, please know as to what my past experience have been, And when an organization, an agent is talking to a customer or interacting in any other form, they should know as to what the past has been, irrespective of the channel of communication. Not only that, the expectation is that this is my past behavior. You should be able to gauge as to what the customer expects out of the organization. So these are some of the things which, in my mind, are continuously evolving, and these things do impact the customer behavior. Dave, what are your views on the same?
Hi, thanks, Sumit and Nidhi. So I think in my view, there are like three key trends. If you look at how the behavioral changes have been impacted, right? Number one is this sentiment that, and this is a trend that has been there for many years and is probably being accelerated now with the impact of COVID in the new normal. That if something that is possible to be done online will be done online. Right. In fact, I can give an example of my dad, who's 75 plus, and who has been holding off from using so many of the brands that generally you interact with in an offline world. Today, it is being done online and mobile, and he's finally kind of gotten into that the group of users who have now started adopting technology in terms of the online and the mobile world. So I think that is one key trend which is clearly accelerated. Right. The second one is that the customer behavior is that I want an instant gratification. Right. The expectations are so high today. Right. Again, because of this whole on-demand economy. Right, pretty much every service that you have is available to you at the click of a button, and you have so customer expectations in general, given this whole mobile and internet world has the expectations have become very high, and third, like I think Sumit, you mentioned as well, that there is an expectation that you have to be able to know the user in a very intimate fashion and be able to personalize the experience for the user, right? Just like you do today through, again, taking an example of, let's say, online streaming, where or let's say e-commerce, where you're browsing and the experience is very, very personalized to how your previous purchases and how you interact with it. So these are pretty much a given today, and these are some of the things that we need to kind of watch out for as we develop our customer experience.
That's some interesting viewpoints. Just kind of put it together. It's your instant gratification, personalization, and so on. Okay, well, I hope to look forward to a lot more insights on this when we go forward. I will have a quick poll before we start the next question, because they both relate to each other, and it'll help our panelists answer the questions in a lot more detail as well, according to the answers. If the poll will come up to you on your screens right now, just it's a simple thing saying, are you currently using any cloud-based software for your customer experience segment? So for your entire process of customer experience, is there anything that you use a cloud-based software for? We have a quick 30-second answer, just to kind of give us an answer for this. All right. Okay, so it's surprising to know that maximum of our audience is actually already on the cloud, using some kind of a software or a CRM which is based on the cloud, which will help us answer the next question, which I will direct directly towards Dave, given where you are currently placed at AWS. So Dave, if you can help me understand, how do businesses keep up with the constantly evolving nature, like you all mentioned, of customer preferences by including cloud-based technologies in their daily operations? So on the everyday basis, how is it helping them?
Sure. So, so this is a broad question, and I'll try to keep it specific to, let's say, from a customer experience standpoint, right? So one of the things that today, again, going back to what a customer is expecting is, because of they are impatient and be able to very quickly be served by, in whichever channel that they are actually getting onto. We are actually seeing, one way of, let's say, introducing a concept of self-serve. Right. So anytime you're actually interacting with the brand on the website, the mobile, or through whatever channel, how can you actually introduce, let's say, for example, a chat bot or a voice bot, right? A human type kind of an IVR experience as well, so that the customer can actually have that kind of a self-serve experience, right? So that is one example of a cloud-based technology that can be introduced within a customer experience. The other one could be, while let's say your agent and your representative is actually working with the customer over a phone call, how could you provide some kind of a way to assist the user in a better way? It could be, for example, a tough question or a domain specific question that can be kind of answered very quickly and help you to actually, let's say, even close the experience better, or be able to close the answer better, right? I'll give you another example that recently for my son, I was talking to a couple of online education providers, right? And in this one particular instance, I could see that while I was interacting with them, they actually were able to very quickly answer my question by introducing an expert into that same conversation that we were having around the curriculum that they were offering. And actually that experience helped me to actually pick up this particular provider over the other one that I was actually working on, even though that the reviews, the pricing, all of the products broadly of these two providers that I was evaluating was pretty much the same, right? But they had obviously introduced something as part of their customer experience while they were kind of interacting with me as a potential customer, to be able to convert me over their competition, right? So they've obviously been able to introduce that like a cloud-based technology that was actually able to analyze something that's happening in real time and provide them an assistance, right? So I think that was a very just one example that I thought would be worth sharing as an example of how you can introduce cloud-based technology.
That actually is a very interesting example. Sumit, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think Dev has covered it really well. I think I'll just add one different dimension to it. In addition to the revenue enhancement and various other objectives of the organization, one of the challenges in current time is how do we manage cost? And actually, cloud really helps in that space. And for a lot of organizations, it's a journey as to what is the adoption level at which they are on on adoption of various cloud technologies. It's just a matter of time as to how does one unlock the benefits in terms of cost saving as well.
Okay, that's two very interesting points that we brought over us. Sumit, I'll have the next question directed towards you. So how do you think, your business, or you add value to CX challenges that you face today? And in your opinion, what are some of the best practices being followed today?
So I think technology really helps in for various organizations to improve their CX journey. One thing is very clear that each and every customer is very different, and their journey with the organization is also very, very different. And each customer is has a different experience and a different journey. I think it's important to capture the unique journey of that customer, and that is something which is possible with the cloud-based technologies. That's one. Related to that is a point that once you know that each journey is very different, how do you curate a different personalized experience which creates a wow moment for the customer? I think that's something, again, is very, very relevant, and something which organizations can really take up. The third thing which is in today's world, there is internet and there are different channels of communication. There is mobile for voice, there is WhatsApp for interaction. There could be the various internet handles. So depending on the various channels which customer is trying to communicate, technology over the cloud can help organization curate that and put that all the interactions through the omni channel, as we call it, and has give us in single view to that, which enhances the customer experience, how customers are coming and interaction with the organization. In recent times, what we've seen is with the COVID coming in, a lot of organization, agents or employees have been started working from home. Cloud-based really helps in such a scenario where it really doesn't matter as to where you're logging in. You need not be in the office. You could be sitting out of your home, having the same experience for the agents, and that same experience is passed on to the consumer as well. So I think that's also something which helps. One important aspect in all of these is how do you kind of work on the data privacy part. With the cloud technologies today, maintaining the customer identity and some of the elements of communication which need not reveal it to the agent or to anyone interaction. So that is also definitely possible in today's world.
That kind of shows us how cloud kind of changes a lot of platforms we use today for our customer experience. Dave, any experiences you would like to share or add there?
Sure. Yeah. Maybe just to add to what Sumit is saying, I think broadly, definitely reducing cost, is a key challenge. And things like the self-service that I had explained in terms of introducing a chat bot is definitely one area. How do you actually introduce, for example, a cloud-based technology around, let's say, AI or ML? Right, that can, while the call is and interaction with the user is ongoing, how do you actually decipher the intent and understand what the sentiment of the user is, and be able to actually real time actually bring in somebody to help to convert that or to give a better experience. Like a related example, I'm sure we've all had at times where we were talking to our provider, and they don't have all the information at the tip of their fingers, right? We need to kind of repeat ourselves in terms of our account information and other information, right? Today, with the help of cloud, you can directly be able to transcribe or understand and convert an example of, let's say, the account number or other information specific to the user, and actually have that integrated with your backend systems. It could be your CRM, your ERP, other systems, and have that information available directly at the point of interaction by the agent, and actually enable a much better experience for the end user, right? Thereby improving your customer satisfaction, your NPS overall, right? So I think that's another kind of a use case or an example that we are seeing how you can actually introduce the right technology to improve and to solve for your key challenges.
If can I ask you, so there are a lot of these technologies that, as per you, are all based on the cloud today. Anything from voice bots to your ML tools, they're all cloud based. So for anyone looking at them, cloud is a way to go forward.
Yes. So see, today these technologies are in a way agnostic. So you may have already, let's say, have invested in a on-premise system where or you may be in a kind of a virtual hosted setup, or you may be using a completely like full cloud solution. So irrespective of what your existing infrastructure setup is, you can actually introduce these add-ons or these value additions to help you from a customer experience standpoint. into your existing infrastructure, be it in whatever way you are currently hosted or set up, or whatever tool you have. So that's, I think, the power as well, that it's easy to actually augment your existing setup, and it's also easy to integrate with this whatever setup that you may have today in terms of backend systems.
Okay, that's interesting. Also, so I'll just ask the next question to you, Dave, going forward on the cloud basis as well. I mean, like you answered this part of it. So how does cloud help businesses scale while maintaining cost effectiveness and serving a seamless experience for customers?
Sure. So this goes back to the core benefits of what a cloud-based solution can offer to you, right? Number one, yes, cost is always the conversation starter, right? And that's because it's a pay-as-you-go model. Right, so you can always start small and basically automatically scale depending on the number of queries that you're coming in. You don't need to provision for, let's say, a peak or a trough, right? You don't need to really worry about these things, which is generally hard to figure out when you're implementing a new solution. Right, it's hard to procure the right level of infrastructure that may be required based on what projection may go. And we've seen this already, when there are specific events, or you may have bursts, let's say on a weekend during a seasonal kind of event, or even a black swan event that we've all gone through. This is where I think the cloud really shines, right? Being able to adjust to depending on the environment you see, and being able to and then scale up or scale down depending on your need. So I think in my view, it's definitely in terms of cost, in terms of the ability to scale, as well as actually being able to even experiment and innovate with the new things is what the cloud kind of gives you. It's very, very quick for you to implement some of these technologies, experiment, and move quickly, right? So I think that's another reason outside of the cost and scale as well that we are actually seeing a lot of customers adopt it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Someone would like to add to that as well?
Yeah, I think Dave has covered it, most of it. I think in addition to the low setup time on cloud and the flexibility which cloud has to offer, another point is the tech updates. So typically, if you have an on-prem solution, you've invested in a technology, and we all know that technology has a life cycle as to you've invested and would you want to stick on to it. Cloud gives you that flexibility. Tomorrow some new upgrades come in, they're automatically there for you. I think cloud definitely has an advantage over the on-prem solutions.
Okay, so if I were to ask, like, summarize it also, more than being just cost effective and helping you scale, it should probably be a part of everyone's BCP after what we've seen in the last 6 or 7 months. Is that something that you both would agree to?
Absolutely, Nidhi.
Okay, guys, I'll just run a quick poll because this will help us on the next question as well. So this is a question which is going forward from what Dave gave us an example of right now, and Sumit also helped us illustrate. So if you're currently using, so what have you seen your customers get in touch with you maximum? Is it through the voice, which I mean the telephone? Is it through chatbots, WhatsApp, email, or a voice bot, which is the way forward? An SMS or video? So what have you seen your customers use maximum, or you use maximum, to get in touch and improve your customer experience today? Guys, this is a multiple choice question, so you can select more than one option if you see a mix of a lot of it. And this was, probably help us also understand, help Dave and Smith also understand, how your customer experience forward is going forward today. All right, I already have a lot of answers in. So I'm not surprised with this, but going with the pandemic, 77% of our audiences are using voice, which is telephone, followed by email, WhatsApp, and SMS today. Very small percentage is still moved on to any kind of a bot, be it voice, chat, or even video right now. Surprisingly, it's a very, very small proportion. So it's telephone, guys, WhatsApp, email, or SMS, which is the older way of still communicating with your customers. or how customers are communicating with you. The SMS part of the surprise to me, but the rest, I think, given what we've all just seen, pandemic, it's quite plausible. So given that, I'll ask Dave one more question. So Dave, how do you see the influence of new technologies, like you mentioned bots earlier, impacting customer expectations today?
Sure. So, see, I think there are two other kind of trends that I'd like to call out, right? In terms of new technologies, one is it's we're close to, as a country today, we're reaching close, as per TRI, we're reaching close to 1 billion users who are mobile phone subscriptions in the country, right? And 85% of these now have access to 4G. Which means that you can directly deliver kind of a rich experience to your customer, right? And second, if I'm sure we've all been noticing how the rise of UPI, which is the method for instantly transmitting funds between any bank account of your choice directly from your mobile phone, right? Which is run by the National Payment Council of India. That in August of this year, I think, or October of this year, the entire transactions volume has doubled. We're doing almost 2 billion transactions a month, and what? I think $5.5 billion. That's around 250 rupees per transaction is the average transaction size that's actually going through. So I think these two are the key technologies that's further kind of impacting how and what a customer will experience, right? And then on top of that, the ability for us to use technologies like AI and ML across the entire stack. So if you can see today, there are tools where directly with an API call, you will be able to understand and run. Let's say, let's take an example of voice, since we have our audience saying that majority of them are working with voice, right? If you have the ability to actually record that call, you can actually send that across directly via an API and understand what the sentiment of that call is, and be able to decide if there is any cross-sell, upsell opportunity, or is there a way to actually improve the transaction, the experience with my customer, and the communication I made using a simple API call to get understanding via AI. Right? So I think as and when we start to implement some of these new technologies, I think customer expectation will only get even more higher, right? If I were to quote Jeff Bezos, right, in one of his earlier shareholder letters, he had mentioned that customers are wonderfully dissatisfied, even when they are saying that they are happy with you and the business is great. So I think as humans and as customers, we're always pushing the pedal. We will always ask for, and our expectations will always be high. And so I think it is up to us to be able to work in that manner, right? Work in that customer obsessed manner, understand what customer really wants, and be able to introduce that gives you the right business benefit, and be able to improve the experience. So hopefully that that gives you some sense as to how we can actually implement, understand the trends out there and actually implement some of these examples for a customer.
Okay, Sumit, any ideas to add to that?
I think I'll just make one comment on it. I think while we're talking of all adoption and new technologies coming in, I think somewhere all of us need to balance between the level of automation what we do and how much of let's say agent interaction or voice interaction or a warm body interaction we should live with. As I think they mentioned that there are tools which are now coming which automate this process far more. I think the dependency will reduce as we go forward, but at different stages of different organization, they should take that call of what is the right striking balance.
Okay, so in fact we had a question on this as well in the audience, saying that how do you map customer journey? So Sumit, I'll ask you this further. how is mapping your customer journey? I mean, why is it important? Can you share some examples of how businesses can deliver a seamless experience through a smart technology? So if you can share some examples, live examples.
Sure, Nidhi. So, I mean, typically, if you were to look at a four-stage customer life cycle, it starts with the lead generation, customer acquisition, relationship marketing, and then retention of a consumer. And all this leads to then brand advocacy and going back to more and more leads getting generated. One of our I'll share one of the examples of a BFSI customer, specifically who were into banks. They basically acquired customers who are premium customers. They wanted that unique experience to be given to them, and there should be a relationship manager which is assigned to a specific customer. So by using technology, there was a one-to-one mapping of the relationship manager with each and every customer. At any given point in time when a customer made an inbound call, it used to land to that specific relationship manager. Not only that, all these recordings were, all these interactions were recorded and monitored. They were personalized, automated reminders, which were enabled to whether it was any kind of payment alerts or reminders. That also is something which is again hyper personalized. All this is in the area of relationship management. Even specific things like what different language, multi-level language, IVR, all those things is something which is important. Another important aspect is the customer privacy. So the customer does not want some of his details obviously not to go to the bank, and the bank obviously wants to restrict the number of the agent, a personal number of the agent, which they interact with the consumer. So all that is definitely possible. Was possible in this specific example of a bank. Another example I like to share is with a logistic organization, which is in the food delivery area. That organization, delivers, over thousands of deliveries each day. How do you track the last mile delivery as to where the delivery agent is and has that order been delivered or not? So that's very much possible with that. And again, the privacy of the delivery agent and the customer being intact. I think these are some of the examples which I could think of, Nidhi.
Okay, thanks, Sumit. Also, in your experience, Dave, where can you see how do you see businesses kind of improving their customer experiences basis using all the smart technologies available today?
Yeah, so I think the important thing is just once you start with the customer problem or the the challenge that you're looking to solve, I think you can always find the right technology to implement. Right. So for example, if it is about, let's say, reducing cost, if that is the business goal and that's what needs to be achieved, like Sumit said, mapping out the specific set of touch points and journeys as part of the customer roadmap. One can basically then work backwards from there and be able to implement the right solution to solve for that, right? So again, specific to, let's take an example of customer experience. I think if it's about reducing cost, having a chatbot kind of experience, having that where you're basically being able to train that against not just a predefined model, but something that's constantly being improved, will actually help you to actually achieve that goal of reducing the cost while actually, let's say, improving the overall customer experience, right? So don't want to kind of deliberate further. I think we've touched upon it, and happy to take further questions. Yeah.
Okay, so I can see already some questions coming in. So I'll ask one question as well. This is this is for Sumit, first you, and then Dave, if you can help us. Is how easy is it for businesses to implement cloud-based technologies in today's customer and the entire cycle? How easy is it? Sumit, if you want to answer this, and then Dave, you can help us.
We covered this quite a lot, Nidhi, but just to share as to how Knowlarity can help is we have various solutions which are like on the calling front, voice front, which is either inbound or outbound. So those kind of solutions we offer. We offer solutions which are number masking solutions as well. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much what we can help people implement some of these solutions.
And they take how much time? Like the very quick delivery options, is it?
Like delivery, almost nil setup time, and ready to experience cloud services.
They've in the very
Yeah. No, this great question. Typically people do feel that it takes a long time and it's hard to kind of implement something like this. But to going back to my earlier comment, see, I think one has to start with the use case or the metric in mind, the business problem, right? If let's say if it's about driving revenue. Let's take if that is a goal, and you want to be able to quickly analyze interactions that are happening over email, over SMS or WhatsApp, or let's say even the voice communication. There are easy to use quick start templates that we provide, and we're more than happy to have our customer team kind of work to understand what the use case is and then recommend these, right? We even publish these quick start templates on how you can, with actual code, working code and examples on how you can take these specific to the use case and deploy them directly, in a matter of, let's say, a few hours. Pretty much, where you can take a ready-made thing and start to do a proof of concept. Right. So once it's well defined as to what needs to happen, we can certainly recommend a quick start solution is the approach that I would actually take.
Okay. I have a question for one more phone coming up for you, Dave. One is how beneficial and is it for cloud to include cloud-based technology for a smaller organization or a startup?
Absolutely. So even irrespective of your size, the fact that you can scale with your growth, right? So we have so many customers who are startups or small and medium businesses. Some of them are technology enabled, some of them are not. But definitely it's not that cloud is meant for companies that are bigger. It's actually meant for pretty much anybody, and it's largely built as a self-serve platform. So I'd encourage you to just visit the website, and you can set up an account and pretty much get started. So unless there is a specific use case in mind, then like I said, it may take I'll be able to give a little bit more specific guidance, but otherwise, a business of any size can get started very easily.
Okay, great. So I'll move on to the audience questions now, Dev and Sumit. We have a few here. So the first question actually is, all right, so I'll take one question, which is directly, my God, okay, we have a few here. So what are the trends we are seeing in customer experience for product and service sales before purchase and during post-sale service situations? So any of you who want to answer that? So what are the trends we are seeing in customer experience for products and services before purchase and during post-sale service?
Yeah, so Dave, would you want to take this?
Sure. So, see, one of the obviously from a pre-sale standpoint, I think the key trend that we are seeing is most of the and this is my kind of personal view. Most of the decisions to purchase a product, is majority of the times are already kind of taken prior to actually speaking with a representative of the company or the brand. So I think that's in my view, that's kind of a key trend that which basically means that they are relying on online reviews, research, references, talking to other customers before actually interacting. So I think that's a very important thing for any kind of a brand or large or small to be able to have a very strong presence online, reviews, and all of that, all the information available to them. So I think that's something that is there from a pre-sale standpoint. The other way is also being able to kind of, let's say, today in a virtual world, how do you actually demonstrate a physical product, right? So, for example, we are seeing people who maybe an interesting example, during the lockdown phase, we were evaluating, let's say, a dishwasher. Right, so this particular brand was able to kind of do a complete online demo and be able to allow us to experience that entire product without actually visiting the store. So that's another trend, obviously, that being able to demonstrate all of that in an online fashion to be able to actually take that. Post sales, again, maybe video. Right? How do you, let's say, post sales, there is a problem, and you need to be able to quickly service that issue. Right, so I think using video, being able to troubleshoot, being able to talk to the customer is another area that one should look at, is what I would say.
Okay, Sumit, any points to add there?
Yeah, I think so. While customers do have a lot of access to a lot of information, I think it's at the same time and when they come to the organization, for discussion, they're quite enriched that way. It's how the agent process the information, knowing much better than what the questions are likely to come. So the ability of an agent and the empowerment which needs to be given to the agent for him to answer the right questions is definitely a challenge for the organization, which is on the pre-sales front. On the post sales, it could be onboarding or customer query handling. I think one obviously is, how do you onboard, or how does, if customer is facing any issue which are post purchase, how you tackle that. And one of the trends which is coming in is what I think you touched upon is the video. It's such a powerful medium to give demos of onboarding on any of the products. So that's definitely a very strong one.
If I can take the liberty of just adding one point to Dave and Sumit's point here, I think post sales, what is more important also becomes is your touch points and how many times you have to explain yourself over and over again. So I think that's where your cloud software is and like you're mapping to the same person so that your answers are kind of faster and your response rate is not, you're not being asked the same questions repetitively every time you call in to get your problem solved, also becomes a very important angle. So how you're doing that angle, I mean, if that's just, I face it personally, I would hate to tell someone the same story again and again. So when I call up my bank and they already have it recorded what my last problem was, it helps. And I think Sumit mentioned that that's one of the solutions, like it has helped customers for that as well. Okay, so we have one more, so we have a few that I'll ask. For cloud PBX like Knowlarity, these are two questions mixed up into one. There is a requirement where the call has to be taken through a physical phone and not over the internet, like Zoom. Why is this, and when is it going to go away? And the same person, Hita Chandra, has asked a question for Knowlarity and AWS. Do we have solutions specifically where I can analyze calls, or how can I build my analytics out of calls? Sumit, since for Knowlarity first, can you answer it first?
I'll take that question. So thanks for this question. You see, in India, Knowlarity, because of the government regulations right now, we have a PSTN network, and that's where the calls are taken over a physical phone and not over the internet. The VoIP over internet is restricted right now in the country. I mean, you can't make a call from a VoIP phone to a PSTN phone within the country, or vice versa. So that's the government regulation, and it's just a matter of time that things will open up in this country, like in most of the developed nations. So that's on the first question. Specifically on the second question as to, how, where can I analyze calls, how can I build analytics on this? I think there is, we've recently launched one of our products, which is speech analytics, which actually sits on the voice, which analyzes the voice content It could do a sentiment analysis. It basically converts the voice to text. That's the first part. And then there is a keyword spotting, which is done. And then there is a sentiment analysis, which runs on top of it, which enables the calls to get analyzed as to whether it's an interaction has been a positive one or a neutral or a negative one. And then, that's how organization can significantly value add in terms of knowing as to by it could be a people intelligence, which means that agents are also getting evaluated as to which is a agent where is giving a pleasant experience to a consumer vis-a-vis someone who's not giving a not so pleasant experience. It could also lead to certain insights of which are apt for the business as to what kind of conversions businesses are getting. So those kind of technologies are very much possible as we speak.
Okay, I have one more question here. This is actually a very large question and might not be fully answered here, Nimesh, but this is Nimesh asks us a question saying, I have a startup in home appliances segment, which is targeted to the domestic usage. We are yet to start operations as the product is currently under design and development. His question is, how do we suggest that his entire communication channel should be for customers, and how it should be according to our experience and considering our industry and product segment? So what should be his communication channel to customers, and how should he set it up for a new business is his question. So Dave, would you like to, since you're in the startup space, would you like to help?
Sure. So, see, I mean, again, as a startup, I'm guessing the first way is to have a website. You will already have that set up with all of your products, have a way for them to review all of it, be able to easily buy and check out. Right. Definitely there are best of breed CRM tools out there that will allow you to even enhance your website with, let's say, a self-service bot where directly you can get to your customer who's actually visiting the website, being able to interface with somebody I think both Sumit and we talked about, for example, a self-service bot, right? I think as a startup, you may be short-staffed, you won't be able to kind of do that. So, but there are already technologies that are available that will allow you to have like an automated bot for the the ready FAQs, and then actually also having can an agent kind of step in, and you kind of pull in the agent when there is something that's not being able to be answered by the bot. So that's also something that can be easily set up for a startup. And then even for if you decide to kind of have a voice-based solution, something like Knowlarity, I do know that since it's a cloud-based thing, you can start small. You can pay per user or pay per agent, and pretty much get started as well, and even have a solution like that to be able to interface with your customers, right? So so I think that's really the beauty of cloud-based technology. You can start small and grow with your business, and happy to kind of even take the discussion offline and give more specific answers to the use case, but that's what I would say now.
So would you like to add to that? How would you advise?
I think it's better that we take it offline, because it's a fairly large scope of discussion. It's just not a small point. I think it's better we can take it offline, I guess.
Sure. Okay, this is a question I think that we're trying to cover as well. We have Kana asking us, since we're talking about cloud, how does the migration process happen seamlessly into cloud without hindering the customer experience in a big way?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Again, see, the migration, again, it really depends on the use case, right? If it's an on-prem system where, let's say, you're running servers, you're running databases, there are tools that we will offer you, like that can cut down the time, effort, right? We also can offer, AWS has a very large thriving partner base as well, right? Who are basically certified professionals who understand cloud technology, who can work with the business to help you actually do these migrations, depending on what the workload, or depending on what is it that you're actually trying to move, right? And being able to do it in a way that it does not have any downtime, right, and it does not impact your customer experience, right? So that's generally part of the entire migration exercise, and there are best practice that we will follow to ensure that, right? So if it is specific, if it's a specific application, then again there can be a specific cutover process in which you can have both the on-prem version as well as the cloud version kind of working at the same time, and then making sure that the cutover happens seamlessly. So I think it's something that is fairly well documented, and we're happy to kind of share more details again offline as to how do we actually do it depending on what the use case is. But this is something that certainly we can help with.
Okay, all right, Sumit, I'll ask towards Knowlarity. Does Knowlarity offer services outside of India as well? What technology is used for dialing? And in addition to voice and SMS, is it also integrated with any kind of social WhatsApp or ASR tools?
Sure. So for Knowlarity, we offer services in India as well as a lot of other countries across the globe. So in India, actually for each country, the regulations are very, very different. So if you were to ask of, let's say, UAE, that again is a PSTN network. Whereas if you look at US, it's more of a VoIP-based services. So it depends on which country are we talking of, and we can offer in a lot of countries outside India as well. What technology is used for dialing again depends on the country what we're talking of. It could be VoIP or it could be a PSTN network. In addition to the voice and SMS, is it also integrated with social and WhatsApp? Right now, no, but we are in the process of getting this up.
Okay, and ASR, anything to do with ASR is also a question.
Yeah, so ASR, yes. So we've recently launched the speech analytics, service, and that's available across the globe. And that's independent of any country, or that's an API based, so it's fairly easy to use, easy to implement and deploy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dev, I have last two questions for you before we try to close session. One, this is for you, Dev, specifically. In which all countries in Middle East does AWS serve? Specifically, do you serve in UAE with data restrictions within the same geography?
So we don't. We do have a offering called AWS Outposts, which will basically enable you to run all of the. So we basically ship you a server with all of the best of breed AWS services that you can actually deploy close to you, and ensure that you can serve the specific local geography restrictions that you have. So yes, we've recently launched this. It's called AWS Outposts, and that probably will work best for this. And happy to share information on that.
Okay, great. This is a question for both of you. It's one of the questions we asked earlier as well. Can you elaborate on the best practices that you mentioned for customer experiences? So when someone is setting up customer experience process, what are the best practices they should keep in mind? Sumit, Dev, would like to take this first.
So I think we just mentioned about some of these, which are hyper personalization is, I would say, is one of them. Omni-channel is the second one. Third is when we talk of the customer journey as to how each customer journey is different and one needs to map that. which is part of the hyper personalization part. At the same time, we need to maintain the privacy. So it's a very thin line between, what the customer's expectations are, and he expects you to know those expectations as well, but at the same time maintain the data privacy part. So I think these are the three important ones, I would say one should consider.
Dave, any additions to that?
No, I think we've touched upon some of the other best practices we are seeing, and that's available today in terms of being able to use, I think, AI and ML to understand what's going on between your interactions within the customer, and trying to glean further information either from a cross-sell, upsell, or an improvement of customer satisfaction. I think those are some of the best practices that we are seeing in specific to CX.
Great. Okay, since we've come to the end of time, Dave and Sumit, thank you so much for your time. And more importantly as well, thank you so much for attending, everyone, and being part of the webinar. I think we got a lot of insights and a lot of questions answered. For any further questions that we were unable to answer, there's an email ID I've shared, and we'll try and take them on one-on-one. I know we left 2 answers completely like somewhere halfway through. So if you're still keen, please do share them with us and we'll get back to you. And thanks so much once again, Dave, Sumit, and everyone for attending this.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you, and look forward to any further interactions or questions. Thanks a lot.